Every single day you interact with people. Some of those interactions lift you up, others drain you. Some open doors, others close them. But what if you could master the invisible laws that govern every human connection? What if you could walk into any room, any conversation, any relationship, and know exactly how to inspire trust, cooperation, and genuine respect? This audiobook will teach you those laws, not through manipulation, not through tricks, but through understanding the deepest truths about human nature itself. By the end of this journey, you will never see relationships the same way again. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The fatal flaw in how we try to change people. There is a moment that happens in almost every workplace, every home, every friendship. Someone does something wrong. They make a mistake. They fail to meet your expectations. They disappoint you. And in that moment, you have a choice. Most people make the same choice. They criticize. They point out the error. They explain, in detail, exactly what the other person did wrong and why they should have known better. It feels right. It feels justified. After all, how will people improve if you do not tell them what they're doing wrong? But here is the truth that will change everything. Criticism does not work, not the way you think it does. Let me tell you about a discovery that psychologists have confirmed again and again. When you criticize another human being, something happens in their brain. Instantly, automatically. They go into defense mode. Their ego, that fragile sense of self that every person carries, feels attacked. And when the ego feels attacked, it does not say, "You are right, I should change." It says, "I must protect myself." The person you are criticizing will justify their actions. They will make excuses. They will blame circumstances, other people, bad timing, anything except themselves. They will resent you for pointing out their faults. And worst of all, they will almost never change their behavior in the way you hoped. Think about the last time someone criticized you. Did you feel grateful? Did you think, "What a wonderful person for showing me my flaws"? Or did you feel defensive, hurt, misunderstood? Did you immediately think of all the reasons why your actions were justified? This is human nature. We judge ourselves by our intentions. We judge others by their actions. When we make a mistake, we tell ourselves we had good reasons. We were tired. We were stressed. We did not have all the information. We were doing our best under difficult circumstances. But when someone else makes a mistake, we see only the action, the failure, the error, and we criticize. Now let me share something that might shock you. Even the most hardened criminals, the people society labels as the worst among us, do not see themselves as bad people. A famous criminal once said, just before his execution, that he had spent his life helping people. In his own mind, he was a benefactor, not a monster. This is not insanity. This is human psychology. We all carry within us a deep need to feel justified, to feel that we are good people trying our best. When someone criticizes us, they threaten that self-image, and we will fight to protect it. So what happens when you criticize your employee for being late? They tell you about the traffic, the alarm that did not go off, the sick child, the unexpected phone call. What happens when you criticize your spouse for forgetting something important? They remind you of all the things they do remember, all the responsibilities they are juggling, how stressed they are. What happens when you criticize a friend for letting you down? They explain their perspective, why they thought their choice was reasonable, how you're being too sensitive. Criticism breeds defensiveness. Defensiveness breeds resentment. Resentment destroys relationships. And nothing actually changes. There is a better way. But before we get to that solution, you must understand something deeper about human nature. Every single person you meet is hungry for something, not food, not money, not success, approval. We're all starving for sincere appreciation, for recognition, for the feeling that we matter, that we are valued, that we are good. This hunger is so deep, so fundamental, that people will do almost anything to satisfy it. They will work harder, they will be more loyal, they will change their behavior, but only if you give them what they truly crave. Not criticism, not condemnation, appreciation. Let me give you an example. Imagine two managers with the same problem. An employee is underperforming, missing deadlines, producing mediocre work. Manager 1 calls the employee into the office and says, "Your work has been unacceptable. You are missing deadlines. The quality is poor. If this continues, there will be consequences." The employee leaves feeling attacked, demoralized, resentful. They might work slightly harder out of fear. But their heart is not in it. They start looking for other jobs. They do the minimum required. The relationship is damaged. Manager 2 takes a different approach. She calls the employee in and says, "I wanted to talk with you because I know you are capable of excellent work. I have seen it before, but lately I've noticed you seem overwhelmed. Is everything okay? Is there something I can do to support you?" The employee, feeling heard rather than attacked, opens up. There are personal challenges, unclear expectations, a lack of resources. The manager works with the employee to solve these problems. She expresses confidence in their abilities. She recognizes their past contributions. The employee leaves feeling valued, motivated, committed. Same problem, completely different outcome. The difference was not the information conveyed. Both managers addressed the performance issue. The difference was the approach. One used criticism, the other used understanding and appreciation. Here is what you must remember. People do not change because you tell them they are wrong. People change when they feel understood, valued, and inspired to be better. This does not mean you ignore problems. It does not mean you accept poor behavior. It means you understand that human beings are not machines. You cannot simply point out an error and expect it to be corrected. You must engage with the human heart. You must speak to their desire to be good, to be valued, to be appreciated. When you criticize, you're saying, "You're bad." When you appreciate, you're saying, "You're good, and I believe you can be even better." Which message do you think creates lasting change? There is a man who became one of the most successful business leaders of his generation. When asked his secret, he said something remarkable. He said that early in his career, he was quick to criticize. He prided himself on his high standards and his willingness to point out errors, and he wondered why people did not respect him, why they did not follow his leadership with enthusiasm. Then he made a decision. He would spend 1 month without criticizing anyone. Instead, he would look for things to appreciate. The results shocked him. His employees became more productive. His relationships improved. People sought his advice and valued his opinion. He had not lowered his standards. He had not accepted mediocrity. He had simply changed his approach. Instead of pointing out what was wrong, he highlighted what was right. Instead of criticizing failures, he appreciated efforts and small wins. Instead of condemning people, he inspired them, and everything changed. This is the first and most important principle of human influence. If you want to change someone, do not criticize them. Understand them, appreciate them, inspire them. This is not manipulation. This is wisdom. This is not being soft. This is being effective. Because the deepest principle of human nature is this. Every person you meet is carrying a sign that says, "Make me feel important." When you criticize, you tear that sign down. When you appreciate, you honor it. And when you honor it, people will follow you anywhere. In the next chapter, we will explore exactly how to give sincere appreciation without flattery. How to genuinely value others in a way that transforms relationships. But for now, consider this. Who in your life have you been criticizing? What would happen if you stopped? What would happen if, instead of pointing out their flaws, you looked for their strengths? Try it for 1 week. Watch what happens. You might be amazed. Chapter 2. The One Thing. Everyone craves, but rarely receives. There is a kind of hunger that affects every human being on earth. It does not matter if you're rich or poor, famous or unknown, powerful or powerless. This hunger gnaws at you every single day. And most people go through their entire lives without ever getting enough of what they truly crave. What is it? Sincere appreciation, not flattery, not empty compliments, not manipulation disguised as praise. Real, genuine, heartfelt appreciation. Let me tell you something that will change how you see every interaction. The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. Think about it. When was the last time someone genuinely appreciated you? Not just a casual thanks or a quick good job, but real appreciation. Someone who took the time to tell you specifically what you did well and why it mattered. How did it make you feel? It probably stayed with you for days, maybe weeks. Maybe you still remember it now. That is the power of appreciation. And yet, most of us are stingy with it. We notice what people do wrong far more than what they do right. We assume people know we appreciate them, so we do not say it. We hold back praise because we think it might make people lazy or arrogant. This is a tragic mistake, because appreciation is the most powerful tool you have for influencing human behavior. Let me share a story about a teacher who understood this principle. She had a student who was failing, disruptive, disrespectful. Everyone had written him off, but she noticed something. One day he turned in an assignment that showed effort. It was not perfect, but he had tried. She could have focused on what was wrong with it. The spelling errors, the incomplete sections, the lack of depth. Instead, she wrote a note on his paper. I can see you put real thought into this. Your ideas are creative. I'm excited to see what you can do when you keep applying yourself like this. That note changed his life. Years later, he came back to visit her. He had graduated from college. He had a good job. He was successful. He told her that no one had ever seen potential in him before. Everyone had focused on his flaws, but she had looked for what was good, and she had appreciated it, sincerely. That appreciation gave him something to live up to. Now, here is what you must understand. Appreciation and flattery are not the same thing. Flattery is insincere. It is saying nice things you do not mean in order to get something. People can smell flattery from a mile away, and they hate it. When you flatter someone, they know you are trying to manipulate them. It creates suspicion, not connection. But sincere appreciation is different. Appreciation is noticing what is genuinely good and acknowledging it. It comes from the heart. It is specific. It is honest. And it has incredible power. Let me give you the key to appreciation that actually works. It must be specific. Do not say, "You are great." That is vague. That is flattery. Say, "The way you handled that difficult customer yesterday was impressive. You stayed calm, you listened to their concerns, and you found a solution that made them happy." That kind of patience and problem solving is exactly what makes our team strong. Do you see the difference? One is empty, the other is meaningful, one is forgettable, the other is powerful. Specific appreciation shows that you actually noticed, that you were paying attention, that you care, and people will walk through fire for someone who genuinely appreciates them. There is a psychological principle at work here. People tend to become what you tell them they are. If you constantly point out someone's flaws, they will start to see themselves as flawed. They will live down to your expectations. But if you appreciate their strengths, they will start to see themselves as capable. They will live up to your expectations. This is not magic. This is human psychology. We all have a self-image, and that self-image is shaped largely by how others see us. When you appreciate someone, you are not just making them feel good in the moment. You're shaping their identity. You're showing them who they can be. Let me tell you about a manager who transformed his entire team using this principle. He took over a department that was struggling. Morale was low. Performance was poor. People were just going through the motions. Most managers would have come in with criticism, with new rules, with threats and consequences. He did the opposite. He spent his first month looking for things to appreciate. When someone showed up on time, he noticed, "I appreciate your reliability. It sets a great example." When someone helped a coworker, he acknowledged it. The way you jumped in to help with that project shows real teamwork. That matters. When someone had a good idea, even a small one, he recognized it. That is smart thinking. I am glad you spoke up. At first, people were skeptical. They thought it was an act, but he kept doing it, day after day, week after week. And slowly, something changed. People started coming to work with more energy. They started taking initiative. They started helping each other without being asked. The performance numbers improved dramatically. What happened? He had tapped into their hunger for appreciation, and in doing so, he had given them a reason to care. Now, I want to address something important. Some people worry that if they appreciate others too much, people will become complacent. They will stop trying to improve. This is a misunderstanding of human nature. People do not become lazy when they are appreciated. They become lazy when they are ignored. When no one notices their efforts, they think, well, why bother? But when their efforts are recognized, they think, I want to do more of that. Appreciation does not lower standards, it raises them. Because when you appreciate what is good, people want to give you more of it. Here is another critical point. Appreciation must be sincere. You cannot fake this. If you try to appreciate someone just to manipulate them, they will sense it, and it will backfire. True appreciation comes from genuinely looking for the good in people. It comes from training your mind to notice what is right, not just what is wrong. Most of us have developed a habit of criticism. We see errors before we see excellence, but you can train yourself to do the opposite. Start by making it a daily practice. Every day, find 3 people to appreciate sincerely. Colleagues, family members, strangers. Notice something they do well. Tell them specifically what you appreciate and why it matters. Do not wait for something extraordinary. Appreciate the ordinary things that people do every day. The receptionist who greets you warmly, the co-worker who meets deadlines, the family member who listens when you need to talk. These things matter, and when you acknowledge them, you make people feel valued. And when people feel valued, everything changes. They work harder, they care more, they become loyal, not because you manipulated them, but because you saw them, really saw them. There is a famous saying, I can live for 2 months on a good compliment. That is the power of sincere appreciation. It sustains people, it motivates them, it transforms them. And here is the beautiful paradox. When you make others feel important, you become important to them. When you appreciate others, you become appreciated. When you see the good in people, they want to show you more of their goodness. This is not a transaction. This is a fundamental law of human relationships. What you give, you receive. So here is your challenge. Starting today, become a person who appreciates. Look for the good in everyone you meet. When you see it, acknowledge it. Specifically, sincerely. Watch how people light up. Watch how relationships deepen. Watch how your influence grows. Because here is the truth. People will forget what you said. They will forget what you did. But they will never forget how you made them feel. And when you make people feel appreciated, truly appreciated, you create a bond that cannot be broken. In the next chapter, we will explore how to awaken in others an eager want. How to inspire people to enthusiastically do what you need them to do. Not through pressure, not through manipulation, but through understanding what they truly desire. For now, go find someone to appreciate. Do it today. Watch what happens. Chapter 3. The secret to getting anyone to do anything. Let me ask you a question. Why do you do the things you do? Why did you choose your career? Why do you buy the things you buy? Why do you spend time with certain people and avoid others? Here is the truth. You do things for your reasons, not anyone else's. Every single action you take, every decision you make is motivated by what you want. This seems obvious when we think about ourselves, but we forget it completely when we try to influence others. We make a fatal mistake. We tell people what we want, and then we wonder why they do not care. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. A father wanted his teenage son to do better in school. Every night the same conversation happened. You need to study harder, your grades matter. If you do not improve, you will not get into a good college. The son would nod, make promises, and then do nothing. The father became increasingly frustrated. He could not understand it. Why will he not listen? It is for his own good. Does he not care about his future? But here is what the father did not understand. The son did not care about college. Not yet. That was years away. Abstract. Irrelevant to his teenage mind. What did the son care about? His friends, his social status, his freedom. So the father changed his approach. Instead of talking about college, he said this. I have noticed you have been wanting more independence, more freedom to do things with your friends. Here is what I am thinking. If you bring your grades up to a B average, I will extend your curfew by an hour. You will have more freedom to make your own choices. What do you think? Suddenly, the son was interested. Why? because now it was about what he wanted, not what his father wanted. Within 2 months, the grades improved. Same goal, completely different approach. This is the most important principle of influence you will ever learn. The only way to get anyone to do anything is to make them want to do it. You cannot force people, you cannot guilt them, you cannot shame them. Well, you can, but it will not work. Not really. Not in a way that lasts. People only take sustained action when they want to. So the question becomes, how do you make someone want to do what you need them to do? The answer is simple but profound. You must see the world from their perspective. You must ask yourself, what does this person want? What are their desires, their fears, their motivations? And then you must show them how what you want gives them what they want. Let me give you another example. A business owner wanted her employees to be more careful about turning off lights and equipment at night. The company was wasting money on electricity. She could have sent out a memo. Turn off the lights. We are wasting money. But she knew her employees did not care about the company's electric bill. That was not their money. So she did something different. She announced a new policy. Any money saved on utilities would be split among the team as bonuses at the end of the year. Suddenly everyone cared about turning off lights. Why? Because now it was about their money, their bonus, their reward, same goal. But now it aligned with what they wanted. This is not manipulation. This is understanding human nature. People are not selfish in a negative sense. They are simply focused on their own needs and desires, just like you are, just like everyone is, and there is nothing wrong with that. The mistake most people make is thinking they can overcome this through argument or logic. They think if they just explain clearly enough why someone should do something, the person will do it. But that is not how humans work. Let me tell you about one of the most successful salespeople in history. He never talked about his products, he talked about what his customers wanted. When he met with a business owner, he did not say, "Let me tell you about our amazing service." He said, "Tell me about your business. What are your biggest challenges right now? What keeps you up at night?" He listened, really listened, and then, only then, did he show how his service could solve their specific problems. He did not sell a product, he sold a solution to their desires, and he became incredibly successful because of it. Here is what you must understand. Every single person you meet is thinking primarily about themselves, not because they are bad people, but because that is human nature. They are thinking about their problems, their desires, their fears, their dreams. If you want to influence them, you must enter their world. You must talk about what they want. Let me show you how this works in everyday situations. Imagine you want your team to adopt a new software system at work. The wrong approach. We are switching to this new system. It will be more efficient for the company. Everyone needs to learn it by next month. People will resist. They will complain. They will drag their feet. Why? Because you told them what you want, and you gave them more work. The right approach. I know the current system has been frustrating. I've heard your complaints about how slow it is, how it crashes, how it makes your job harder. I found a new system that will cut your data entry time in half. You will be able to leave work earlier. You will have fewer headaches. Let me show you how it works. Now people are interested. Why? Because you talked about their frustrations, their desires, their benefits. Same outcome. But one approach fights human nature. The other works with it. Here is another powerful example. A mother wanted her young daughter to eat vegetables. Every meal was a battle. You need to eat your broccoli. It is good for you. You need vitamins. The daughter did not care about vitamins. She cared about what tasted good right now. So the mother changed her approach. You know how Elsa in Frozen has ice powers? I read that eating green vegetables gives you strong, healthy hair like hers. The more you eat, the more beautiful and strong your hair becomes. Want to try? The daughter started eating vegetables. Why? Because now it was connected to something she wanted. To be like her favorite character. This is the key. Find out what people want, then show them how they can get it by doing what you need them to do. Now, you might be thinking, but what if what I need them to do does not benefit them? Here is the truth. Almost everything can be framed in terms of benefit. You just have to think creatively. A manager needs an employee to take on a difficult project that no one wants. The benefit? This project will be high visibility. The executives will see your work directly. It is an opportunity to showcase your skills and position yourself for advancement. A parent needs a teenager to help with chores. The benefit? The more responsible you show you are, the more I can trust you with bigger freedoms. Think of this as building trust credit. A teacher needs students to pay attention in class. The benefit? The better you understand this material now, the less time you will have to spend studying at home. You will have more free time to do what you want. Do you see the pattern? You're not lying. You're not manipulating. You're simply showing people how their interests align with yours. This is the art of influence. And it works because it respects human nature instead of fighting it. Here is a critical point. This only works if you genuinely care about the other person getting what they want. If you're only pretending to care about their desires in order to use them, they will sense it. People have incredibly sensitive radar for insincerity. But when you genuinely want them to benefit, when you genuinely see how your proposal helps them, it comes across as authentic. Because it is authentic. The most influential people in the world are not the ones who are best at talking. They are the ones who are best at listening. They ask questions. They seek to understand. They discover what motivates people. And then they show how working together creates mutual benefit. Let me give you a practical exercise. Think about something you want someone to do. Maybe you want your spouse to be more organized, your employee to be more punctual, your friend to make more effort in the relationship. Now stop thinking about what you want. Start thinking about what they want. What are their desires, their fears, their motivations? How can you connect what you want to what they want? If your spouse wants more peace and less stress, show them how being organized creates that. If your employee wants respect and recognition, show them how punctuality demonstrates professionalism. If your friend wants deeper connection, show them how mutual effort creates that. Always, always, always frame things in terms of the other person's desires. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. This is not giving up control. This is gaining influence. Because when you help people get what they want, they will help you get what you want. It is the most fundamental principle of human relationships. Here is your assignment. For the next 3 days, every time you ask someone to do something, pause first. Ask yourself, what does this person want? Then frame your request in terms of their desires. Watch how much more willing people become. Watch how much easier influence becomes, not because you tricked them, but because you understood them, and understanding is the foundation of all influence. In the next chapter, we will explore how to make people feel that your ideas are their ideas, how to win people to your way of thinking without them ever feeling pushed. It is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. But for now, practice this. See the world through other people's eyes, speak to their wants. Everything changes when you do. Chapter 4. How to win people to your way of thinking without creating enemies. Here is a question that will change how you approach every disagreement. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be effective? Most people choose being right. They argue, they debate, they prove their point, they win the argument, and they lose the relationship. Because here is a truth that most people never learn. You cannot win an argument. You might think you can. You might prove beyond any doubt that you are correct and the other person is wrong. You might have all the facts, all the logic, all the evidence on your side, but you still lose. Why? Because even if you win the argument, you lose the person. Let me explain what happens in an argument. When you tell someone they are wrong, what do they feel? Do they feel grateful for your wisdom? No. They feel attacked, defensive, resentful. Their ego has been bruised. And now, even if they know deep down that you are right, they cannot admit it. To admit you are right would mean admitting they were wrong. And admitting they were wrong would damage their self-esteem. So they dig in. They defend their position. They argue harder. Not because they truly believe they are right, but because their pride demands it. And you have made an enemy instead of an ally. There is a famous saying, "A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still." This is the problem with argument. Even if you win, you have not truly changed anyone's mind. You have only forced them into a corner. And people in corners do not become your supporters, they become your opponents. So what is the alternative? How do you change someone's mind without creating resentment? The answer is brilliant in its simplicity. You do not tell them your idea, you let them discover it themselves. Let me give you an example. A young employee had an idea for improving a process at work. He was excited. He knew it would save time and money. He went to his boss full of enthusiasm. I have a better way to do this. The current system is inefficient. We should change it to this new method. His boss immediately became defensive. We have been doing it this way for years. It works fine. I do not see why we need to change. The idea was rejected. The employee was frustrated, but here is what he did wrong. He told his boss that the current way was wrong. He implied that his boss had been doing things incorrectly. Even though he did not mean it that way, that is how it landed. So the boss defended the old system, not because it was better, but because his ego was invested in it. Now let me show you a different approach. Imagine the employee had done this instead. He goes to his boss and says, I have been working with our current process, and I am trying to understand it better. Can I ask you some questions about why we do it this way? The boss, feeling respected rather than challenged, explains the reasoning. The employee listens carefully. Then he says, That makes sense. I was wondering, have you ever noticed that step 3 seems to take longer than necessary? I was thinking, what if there was a way to streamline that part while keeping everything else the same? What do you think? Now the boss is thinking about it. He's not defending, he is considering. The employee continues, What if we tried a small test, just to see if we could save some time on that one step? If it works, great. If not, we go back to the current way. Would you be open to that? The boss agrees to a test, and here is what happens. The test works, the process improves, and the boss tells everyone, we made a great improvement to our process. We found a way to streamline step 3. Notice what happened there? The boss takes credit for the idea, and the employee might be tempted to feel frustrated about that. But here is the truth. Who cares who gets the credit? The goal was not credit. The goal was improvement. And the improvement happened. Even better, the boss now supports the change enthusiastically, because in his mind, it was his idea. This is the secret to influence. Let people feel ownership of the idea. When people feel an idea is theirs, they champion it. When they feel an idea was forced on them, they resist it. Same idea. Completely different outcome, based entirely on who gets to feel like it was their idea. Now, here is another powerful technique. Instead of making statements, ask questions. Questions are magical. When you make a statement, people can disagree with you. When you ask a question, people have to think. Let me show you the difference. Statement: we need to start the meeting earlier. Immediate response in people's minds: no, we do not. The current time is fine. Question: what do you all think would be the ideal time to start our meeting so everyone can be fresh and focused? Now people are thinking about the problem. They are engaged. They are participating. And they might arrive at the conclusion that earlier is better. But it feels like their conclusion, not yours. Here is another example. You want your teenager to spend less time on their phone. Statement: you're on your phone too much. You need to put it down. Response: resistance, defensiveness, argument, question. I am curious. Do you feel like you're getting enough time to relax and recharge? Or do you sometimes feel like the phone is kind of stressful? Now your teenager is thinking about it. They might realize, actually, yeah, sometimes it is stressful. I feel like I have to respond to everything. It is kind of exhausting. You. What do you think would help you feel more in control of your time? They might say, maybe I should set some limits, like no phone after 9 p.m. Whose idea was that? Theirs. Will they follow through? Much more likely than if you had ordered them to do it. This is the art of influence. You guide people to conclusions. You do not force them there. And the beautiful thing is, when people arrive at a conclusion themselves, they believe it more strongly than if you had told them, because it came from them. Let me tell you about a negotiator who used this principle brilliantly. He was trying to close a business deal. The other party was hesitant about the price. He could have argued. He could have listed all the reasons why his price was fair. Instead, he asked questions. What do you think would be a fair price for this service? The other party named a number. He said, I appreciate that. Help me understand how you arrived at that number. What factors did you consider? As the other party explained their reasoning, they started to see gaps in their own logic. Well, I guess I did not account for the maintenance costs you would be covering, and the training, and the ongoing support. The negotiator simply listened and asked more questions. What do you think those elements are worth? By the end of the conversation, the other party had talked themselves into accepting a price very close to the original offer, not because they were manipulated, but because they thought through the value themselves. Here is what you must understand. People do not resist their own ideas, they only resist ideas that feel imposed on them. So your job is not to impose ideas. Your job is to help people think through problems and arrive at conclusions, even if those conclusions are exactly what you wanted all along. Now, here is a warning. This only works if you are genuinely open to being wrong. If you're using questions as a manipulative technique while being completely closed to any answer, except the one you want, people will sense it. But if you are genuinely curious, if you truly want to understand their perspective, if you are open to the possibility that they might have insights you do not have, then questions become powerful, because you are not pretending to care about their opinion. You actually do care, and people feel that. Let me share one more powerful principle. When you disagree with someone, never say, "You are wrong." Those words are like poison to influence. The moment you say them, the other person stops listening. They start defending. Instead, try this approach. That is an interesting perspective. I had not thought about it that way. Can I share how I have been seeing it? Now the person feels respected, heard. They are open to hearing your view, because you did not attack theirs. You can disagree with someone without making them feel stupid. You can present a different viewpoint without saying theirs is wrong. You can influence without creating resentment. It just takes a little more thought, a little more care, a little more respect for the other person's ego. Here is your challenge for this week. Every time you find yourself about to argue with someone, stop. Ask yourself, do I want to be right, or do I want to be effective? If you want to be effective, try this instead. Ask questions. Show genuine curiosity about their perspective. Look for common ground before highlighting differences. Let them talk more than you talk, and most importantly, let them feel that any good idea that emerges was theirs. You will be amazed at how much more influential you become, not because you won arguments, but because you avoided them entirely, and you helped people come to the right conclusions on their own. There is an old proverb, "He who treads softly goes far." This is that wisdom in action. Be gentle with people's egos, guide rather than push, suggest rather than command. And watch as people become eager allies instead of resistant opponents. In the next chapter, we will explore something equally powerful: how to admit when you are wrong in a way that actually increases respect, how to turn your mistakes into opportunities for deeper connection. It sounds counterintuitive, but it is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. For now, remember this: you do not need to win arguments to be right. You need to win people to be effective, and you win people by respecting their intelligence, their dignity, and their need to feel ownership. Do that, and influence becomes natural. Chapter 5. The unexpected power of admitting you are wrong. There is a moment that terrifies most people. The moment when you realize you made a mistake, you said something incorrect, you made a bad decision. You were wrong about something important, and now someone knows it. Your instinct in that moment is powerful and immediate. Defend yourself, make excuses, shift blame, find a way to be right. Anything except admit the truth. But what if I told you that this instinct, this desperate need to appear perfect, is destroying your influence? What if the very thing you are most afraid of, admitting you are wrong, is actually one of the most powerful tools you have? Let me tell you a story. A manager made a decision to cut a project that his team had been working on for months. He did it quickly, without consultation, because he believed it was the right call. The team was devastated, angry, resentful. They came to him with data showing why the project should continue, evidence he had not considered, perspectives he had not heard. And he realized something uncomfortable. He had been wrong. Now he had a choice. He could double down. defend his decision, find reasons to justify it, maintain his authority by refusing to admit error. Many managers would do exactly that, but he did something different. He called a team meeting and he said, "I made a mistake. I cut the project without gathering enough information. I did not listen to your expertise. I was wrong, and I am sorry." The room went silent. People were shocked. Then he continued, "Based on what you have shown me, we are going to restart the project, and from now on, I commit to consulting with you before making decisions that affect your work." What happened next surprised him. The team did not lose respect for him. They gained respect for him. Why? Because he had shown courage, humility, honesty. He had shown that he was more committed to being right than to appearing right, and that made him a leader worth following. Here is a truth that will change your life. Admitting you are wrong does not weaken your position, it strengthens it, but only if you do it right. Let me explain. When you make a mistake and refuse to admit it, people know. They are not stupid, they can see the truth. And when they see you defending an obvious error, they lose respect for you. They think, this person cares more about their ego than the truth. But when you admit your mistake quickly and sincerely, something magical happens. People admire you. Why? Because it takes courage to admit fault. Because everyone makes mistakes, but few people have the integrity to own them. Because humility is rare and powerful. And because admitting your errors makes you trustworthy. Let me give you another example. A salesperson gave a client incorrect information about a product. The client made a purchasing decision based on that information. Later, the salesperson realized the mistake. She had two options. Option 1, say nothing. Hope the client does not notice. If they do notice, make excuses. Blame a miscommunication. Do anything except take responsibility. Option 2, call the client immediately. Admit the error. Apologize. Offer to make it right. She chose option 2. She called the client and said, "I need to tell you something. I gave you incorrect information yesterday. I made a mistake. Here is what I should have told you. I completely understand if you want to cancel the order, and I am sorry." The client was surprised. And then he said, "I appreciate your honesty. Most people would not have called. That takes integrity. Let us talk about how to move forward." Not only did the client not cancel, he became one of her most loyal customers, and he referred other people to her. Why? Because she had proven she could be trusted, even when it was uncomfortable, even when it was embarrassing. She put honesty above her ego, and that is rare. Here is what you must understand about human psychology. When someone admits they are wrong, especially when they do it before being caught, we instinctively trust them more. We think, if they are honest about this, they will be honest about other things. But when someone makes excuses and refuses to admit obvious mistakes, we trust them less. We think, if they cannot be honest about this, what else are they hiding? Admitting error builds trust. Denying error destroys it. Now let me show you the right way to admit you are wrong. First, do it quickly. The longer you wait, the worse it gets. The moment you realize you made a mistake, own it. Do not hope it will go away. Do not wait for someone else to point it out. Take the initiative. Second, do it completely. Do not make half apologies. Do not say, "I am sorry if you were offended." That is not an apology. That is blame disguised as an apology. Do not say, "I made a mistake, but here is why it was understandable." That is not ownership, that is justification. Say, "I was wrong. I made a mistake. I take full responsibility." Clean, clear, complete. Third, do not over-explain. When you admit error, you might feel tempted to give a long explanation of why you made the mistake. Resist that temptation. The more you explain, the more it sounds like you are making excuses. Keep it simple. Own it. Move on to how you will make it right. Fourth, focus on the solution. After admitting the error, immediately shift to what you will do about it. I was wrong. Here is how I will fix it. This shows that you're not just apologizing for the sake of it. You're committed to making things right. Let me give you a personal example. A father lost his temper and yelled at his daughter over something small. Later, he realized he had overreacted. He could have pretended it did not happen. Kids forget things, right? But instead, he went to her room. He sat down and said, "I need to apologize. I yelled at you earlier, and that was wrong. You did not deserve that. I was stressed about work, but that is not your problem. I am sorry." His daughter looked at him with wide eyes. She had never heard him apologize before. She said, "It is okay, Daddy." He said, "No, it is not okay. It is not okay for me to treat you that way. I am going to work on managing my stress better so I do not take it out on you. You deserve better." That moment changed their relationship, not because he was perfect, but because he was honest. He showed her that even adults make mistakes, and that the right response is to own them, not deny them. He taught her integrity by example. Now here is something important. Admitting you are wrong is not the same as being a doormat. You do not have to apologize for things that are not your fault. You do not have to take blame for other people's mistakes. But when you are genuinely wrong, admit it quickly and sincerely. This is strength, not weakness. There is a difference between false humility and true humility. False humility is saying you are wrong when you are not, just to avoid conflict or to manipulate people into feeling sorry for you. True humility is being honest about your limitations and your mistakes. One is manipulation, the other is integrity. Let me tell you about a leader who understood this principle deeply. He was in charge of a major project that failed. Millions of dollars lost, hundreds of people affected. In the meeting where he had to explain what happened, everyone expected him to shift blame, to point fingers at market conditions, at other departments, at unforeseen circumstances. Instead, he stood up and said, "This failure is my responsibility. I was in charge, I made the key decisions, and I made mistakes. Here is what I learned, and here is how we will do better next time." He expected to be fired. Instead, he was promoted. Why? Because the executives knew they could trust him. Someone who takes responsibility for failure will take responsibility for success. Someone who is honest about mistakes will be honest about everything else. Someone who learns from errors will not keep making the same ones. His willingness to admit fault made him more valuable, not less. Here is another powerful aspect of admitting you are wrong. It disarms conflict. When someone is angry with you, they are expecting you to defend yourself. They are ready for an argument, but when you immediately admit your mistake, there is nothing left to argue about. The anger dissipates. Let me show you an example. A wife forgot to pick up something important for her husband. He was frustrated when he got home. He started to express his disappointment. She could have gotten defensive. "I was busy. I had a million things to do. You could have reminded me." That would have led to a fight. Instead, she said, "You're absolutely right. I said I would do it, and I forgot. I am sorry. That was inconsiderate of me." What could he say to that? She had already said everything he was thinking. The fight never happened. The frustration faded. Because she had taken responsibility immediately. This is the power of admitting fault. It transforms potential conflicts into moments of connection. Here is your assignment. Think about a mistake you made recently. Maybe you were wrong about something. Maybe you let someone down. Maybe you said something you should not have. Whatever it is, go admit it. Today. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not hope it will blow over. Just own it. Say, "I was wrong about this. I am sorry. Here is what I am going to do differently." And then watch what happens. Watch how much lighter you feel. Watch how the other person responds. Watch how a moment of vulnerability becomes a moment of strength. Because here is the final truth about admitting you are wrong. It is not really about the other person. It is about you. It is about living with integrity. It is about being more committed to truth than to ego. It is about being the kind of person who can look at themselves honestly. And that kind of person, that kind of honesty, that kind of courage, that is magnetic. People will follow you, trust you, respect you. Not because you are perfect, but because you are real. In the next chapter, we will explore how to handle criticism without becoming defensive, how to turn attacks into opportunities for growth. It is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. But for now, practice this. Admit when you are wrong, quickly, completely, sincerely. Your influence will grow in ways you never expected. Chapter 6. How to turn criticism into your greatest advantage. Let me tell you about the worst moment in a young professional's career. She had worked for months on a presentation, poured her heart into it, believed it was her best work. She delivered it to the executive team with confidence, and then the criticism came. This is unfocused, the data is incomplete. The recommendations are not actionable. She felt her face get hot, her throat tighten, tears threatened to come. She wanted to defend herself, to explain, to argue. Instead, she did something that changed her career. She took a breath and said, "Thank you for that feedback. Can you help me understand specifically which areas need the most work?" The executive was surprised. He had expected defensiveness. Instead, she was open, curious, ready to learn. He spent the next 20 minutes giving her detailed guidance. She took notes, asked questions, thanked him sincerely. She went back and completely revised the presentation. When she delivered it again, it was exceptional, and that executive became her mentor. Why? Because she had done something rare. She had handled criticism with grace. Here is a truth that will save you years of pain and frustration. Criticism is one of the most valuable gifts you will ever receive, but only if you can receive it without becoming defensive. Most people cannot do this. When someone criticizes them, they feel attacked, threatened, diminished. Their ego jumps into protection mode, and they either lash out or shut down. But here is what they miss. Criticism, when handled correctly, is information. It shows you how others perceive you. It reveals blind spots you cannot see yourself. It gives you opportunities to improve. It is not an attack. It is feedback. Now, I know what you're thinking. But some criticism is unfair. Some criticism is mean-spirited. Some criticism is just wrong. You're absolutely right. Not all criticism is valid. But even invalid criticism has value if you know how to use it. Let me explain. When someone criticizes you, they are telling you something about themselves. They are showing you what matters to them, what they value, what triggers them. This is useful information. Even if their criticism is unfair, understanding their perspective helps you work with them better. Let me give you an example. A designer created a logo for a client. She was proud of it. Modern, clean, professional. The client hated it. "This is terrible. It looks cheap. This is not what I wanted at all." The designer felt crushed, angry, but instead of defending her work, she asked questions. "I want to get this right for you. Can you tell me what specifically feels wrong about it?" The client started talking, and as he talked, the designer realized something. The criticism was not really about the design. The client was nervous about rebranding, afraid of change, worried about how his customers would react. The logo was just the lightning rod for those fears. Once the designer understood this, she could address the real issue. She revised the design to feel more familiar while still being updated. She showed examples of successful rebrands. She reassured him. The second version was approved immediately, not because it was dramatically different, but because she had addressed his underlying concerns. She only understood those concerns by listening to his criticism without getting defensive. Here is the key to handling criticism well. Separate the emotion from the information. When someone criticizes you, your emotional brain reacts first. It feels like an attack. You feel hurt, angry, defensive. That is normal, that is human. But you do not have to act on those feelings. Instead, pause, take a breath, let the emotional wave pass, then engage your rational brain. Ask yourself, is there any truth in this criticism? Even a small grain of truth? If yes, focus on that truth. Ignore the rest. If no, ask yourself, what is this criticism telling me about the other person? Either way, you gain valuable information. Let me show you a powerful technique for responding to criticism. It is called the thank you method. When someone criticizes you, your first word should be, "Thank you for that feedback." This does two things. First, it gives you a moment to collect yourself, to get past the initial emotional reaction. Second, it completely disarms the other person. They were expecting defensiveness. Instead, they got gratitude. It changes the entire dynamic of the conversation. After you thank them, ask clarifying questions. Can you give me a specific example of what you mean? What would success look like from your perspective? How would you recommend I approach this differently? These questions do something powerful. They show you are taking the criticism seriously. They give you more information to work with, and they transform the conversation from an attack into a collaboration. Now let me address something important. What about criticism that is delivered meanly, cruelly, with the intent to hurt? This happens. Some people use criticism as a weapon. Here is how you handle it. You still separate the emotion from the information. You still look for any grain of truth. But you do not accept the emotional abuse. You can say, I appreciate you sharing your perspective. I am open to feedback, but I need it to be delivered respectfully. Can we discuss this in a more constructive way? This sets a boundary without being defensive. It shows you are strong enough to hear criticism, but also strong enough to demand respect. Let me tell you about a teacher who mastered this principle. She had a student who constantly challenged her in class, criticized her teaching methods, questioned her knowledge. It was disruptive and disrespectful. Most teachers would have seen this as an attack and responded with authority. You're being disrespectful. Stop questioning me, or you will be removed from class. But she did something different. After class, she approached the student privately. She said, I notice you have a lot of questions about how I teach this material. I appreciate that you are engaged. Can I ask, what is your goal? What are you hoping to get from this class? The student was surprised. He had expected confrontation. Instead, she was genuinely curious. He admitted, I'm frustrated because I learn differently. The way you explain things does not make sense to me. I feel lost. Suddenly, the criticism made sense. It was not about her. It was about his learning style. She said, Thank you for telling me that. What if we tried this? After each lecture, you can come to my office hours. We can go over the material in a different way. Would that help? It did help. The student stopped disrupting class, he started learning, and he became one of her biggest advocates. All because she handled his criticism with curiosity instead of defensiveness. Here is another powerful principle. Sometimes, the harshest critics become your strongest supporters. Why? Because when someone criticizes you and you handle it well, you prove something to them. You prove you are secure, mature, open to growth, and they respect that. Let me give you a workplace example. A new manager took over a team. One team member was openly critical of every decision she made. It was undermining her authority. She could have fought back, asserted her position, put him in his place. Instead, she invited him to lunch. She said, I notice you have concerns about how I am leading the team. I want to understand your perspective. Tell me what you think I am missing. He was skeptical at first, but she listened, really listened. He had legitimate concerns. He had been with the company longer. He knew things she did not know yet. She said, These are good points. I need your expertise. How would you like to be part of the solution? Can I count on you to help me lead this team well? By inviting him in instead of pushing him away, she transformed him. He went from being her biggest critic to her strongest ally, because she had shown him respect. She had valued his input. She had made him part of the team instead of an opponent. Here is what you must understand. Your response to criticism reveals your character more than almost anything else. Anyone can be gracious when praised, but it takes real strength to be gracious when criticized. That strength is magnetic. People see it and think, this is someone I can trust. This is someone I can be honest with. This is someone I want to work with. Now let me give you a practical framework for handling criticism in the moment. Step 1. Breathe. Let the initial emotional reaction pass. Step 2. Thank the person for the feedback. Step 3. Ask clarifying questions to understand their perspective fully. Step 4. Acknowledge any truth in the criticism. Step 5. If appropriate, explain your perspective without being defensive. Step 6. Commit to considering their feedback and, if needed, making changes. This framework works in almost any situation, with your boss, your spouse, your friends, your clients. It transforms criticism from a threat into an opportunity. Here is your assignment for this week. The next time someone criticizes you, do not defend yourself. Not once. Instead, use the framework I just gave you. Thank them. Ask questions. Listen. Look for the truth in what they're saying, and then, most importantly, act on it. If the criticism is valid, make changes. Show them you took their feedback seriously. This will do more for your reputation than any amount of defensiveness ever could. Because people do not respect those who never admit fault. They respect those who listen, learn, and grow. Here is a final thought. Some of the most successful people in history actively sought out criticism. They asked for it. They valued it. They knew that without honest feedback, they would stay stuck in their blind spots. You can do the same. Start asking people, what is one thing I could do better? Make it safe for them to be honest. And when they tell you, thank them sincerely. Do not defend. Do not explain. Just listen and learn. This single habit will accelerate your growth more than almost anything else you can do. Because the people who handle criticism well are the people who grow the fastest. They are the people others trust. They are the people who lead. In the next chapter, we will explore how to give criticism in a way that inspires improvement rather than resentment. Because if you want to influence others, you need to know how to correct them without crushing them. But for now, focus on receiving criticism well. Master that first. Everything else becomes easier. Chapter 7. The art of correcting others without creating resentment. There is a moment every leader dreads. You need to tell someone they are doing something wrong. An employee is underperforming. A team member has a bad habit. Someone you care about is making a mistake. You know you need to address it, but you also know what usually happens when you do. Defensiveness, hurt feelings, damaged relationships. So you face a terrible choice. Do you say something and risk the relationship? Or do you say nothing and watch the problem continue? Most people choose one extreme or the other. They either avoid difficult conversations entirely, letting problems fester, or they deliver harsh criticism, believing that being direct is being honest. Both approaches fail. But there is a third way, a way to correct others that actually inspires them to improve, a way to address problems that strengthens relationships instead of damaging them. Let me show you how. First, you must understand a fundamental truth about human psychology. Nobody likes to be criticized directly, even when the criticism is valid. Even when it is necessary, even when it is delivered with good intentions. Direct criticism feels like an attack, and people do not improve when they feel attacked. They defend, they resist, they resent. So the question becomes, how do you point out a problem without making someone feel attacked? The answer is brilliant in its simplicity. You begin with sincere appreciation. Let me give you an example. A manager needs to talk to an employee about being late to meetings. The wrong approach. You've been late to meetings 3 times this week. This is unprofessional. It needs to stop. Even though this is direct and truthful, it puts the employee on the defensive immediately. The right approach. I want to tell you how much I appreciate your contributions in our meetings. Your insights are always valuable. That's actually why I wanted to talk with you. I've noticed you have been arriving a few minutes late recently, and we end up missing your input at the beginning. What is going on? Do you see the difference? The first approach makes the person feel bad. The second approach makes the person feel valued, then addresses the issue. Same problem, completely different emotional impact. Here is why this works. When you begin with sincere appreciation, you do several things. First, you show the person that you see their value. They are not just a problem to be fixed. They are a valued person who happens to have an issue to address. Second, you make them receptive. When someone feels appreciated, they are much more open to hearing feedback. Third, you create psychological safety. They know this is not an attack. It is a conversation. But here is the critical word, sincere. The appreciation must be genuine. If you fake it, if you use praise as a manipulation tactic, people will sense it, and it will backfire. You must truly see the good in the person before you address the problem. Now, let me show you another powerful technique. Instead of directly criticizing, call attention to mistakes indirectly. Here is what this looks like. A father notices his teenage son's room is a disaster. Clothes everywhere, trash on the floor, unmade bed. The direct approach, your room is disgusting, clean it up now. This creates resistance. The son feels attacked, controlled, disrespected. The indirect approach, the father casually mentions, "I was thinking about how good it feels to walk into a clean space after a long day. When my office is organized, I feel so much more relaxed. Do you ever notice that?" The son starts thinking about it. Later, without being told, he cleans his room. Why? Because the idea came from within him, not from external pressure. Nobody likes to be told what to do, but everyone likes to make their own decisions. When you point out issues indirectly, you allow people to correct themselves, and self-correction is far more powerful than external correction. Here is another technique that transforms how you give feedback. Talk about your own mistakes first. Before you point out someone else's error, share a similar mistake you made. This does something magical. It removes shame from the conversation. Let me show you an example. A coach needs to talk to a player about poor sportsmanship. Instead of saying, "Your behavior on the field was unacceptable," he says this. "Can I tell you about a mistake I made when I was your age? I lost my temper during a game. I said things I should not have said. And you know what happened? I got benched. Not just for that game, for 3 games. And I learned something important. My emotions in the moment cost me opportunities. I see some of that same fire in you, which is good. But I also see you struggling with control sometimes. Want to talk about how to channel that energy better?" The player does not feel judged. He feels understood. The coach has shown vulnerability. He has admitted his own flaws. This creates connection, not division. And the player is much more likely to listen and change. Here is why this technique is so powerful. When you admit your own mistakes first, you accomplish several things. You show humility. You prove you're not putting yourself above the other person. You normalize failure. You show that everyone makes mistakes, even successful people. You create empathy. The person thinks, if they struggled with this too, maybe it is not such a character flaw in me. Now let me share another crucial principle. Ask questions instead of giving orders. Questions invite cooperation. Orders invite resistance. Compare these 2 approaches. Order: you need to rewrite this report. It is not clear enough. Question: what do you think would make this report even clearer for the reader? The order tells someone what to do. It implies they failed. The question engages their thinking. It invites them to be part of the solution. Which approach do you think creates better results? The question does, every time. Because when people solve problems themselves, they own the solution, and they implement it with enthusiasm instead of resentment. Let me give you a workplace example. A supervisor notices an employee is struggling with time management. Projects are consistently late. Instead of saying, "You need to manage your time better," she asks questions. "I notice you've been feeling overwhelmed. What do you think is causing that?" The employee explains, "Too many priorities, unclear expectations, constant interruptions." The supervisor continues asking, "What would help you feel more in control of your schedule? How could we structure your work differently?" Together they develop solutions. The employee commits to them because they came from her, not from the supervisor. This is the power of questions. They turn correction into collaboration. Now, here is one of the most important principles you will ever learn about giving feedback. Let people save face. This means never humiliate someone, especially in front of others, even if they deserve criticism, even if they made a serious mistake. You must correct the behavior while protecting their dignity. Here is why. When you humiliate someone, you create an enemy. They will never forget it. They will never forgive it. And even if they change their behavior, they will resent you forever. But when you correct someone privately, respectfully, and with care for their dignity, you create loyalty. Let me tell you a story. A CEO discovered that one of his executives had made a costly mistake, a decision that lost the company significant money. In the board meeting, someone suggested publicly reprimanding the executive. The CEO refused. Instead, he met with the executive privately. He said, "This was an expensive mistake. I know you know that. I also know you are capable of much better decisions. What happened?" The executive explained. There were factors the CEO had not known about. Still, the mistake was real. The CEO said, "Here is what we are going to do. We are going to fix this together, and then we are going to make sure this kind of mistake does not happen again." I am not going to embarrass you publicly, but I need to know I can count on you going forward." The executive was overwhelmed with gratitude. He worked harder than ever. He became fiercely loyal to the CEO, and he never made that kind of mistake again. The CEO could have humiliated him, shown everyone who was in charge. But he chose dignity instead, and he earned loyalty that lasted decades. Here is another powerful technique. Praise every improvement, no matter how small. When someone is trying to change, they need encouragement. Not just criticism when they fail, but recognition when they improve, even slightly. Let me show you how this works. A parent is trying to help a child overcome shyness. The child manages to say hello to a neighbor. Just that, nothing more. The parent could think, well, that's not enough. They should have a whole conversation. But instead, the parent says, "I am so proud of you for greeting Mrs. Johnson. That took courage. I saw how you looked her in the eye. That was excellent." The child feels encouraged. Next time, they might say a little more, because their effort was recognized. This principle applies to everyone, not just children. Adults need encouragement too. When someone is working on improving, notice every step forward. Acknowledge it, appreciate it, celebrate it. This creates momentum. People repeat behaviors that are recognized and appreciated. Finally, here is one more principle that makes correction easier. Make the fault seem easy to correct. When you tell someone a problem is huge and difficult, they feel overwhelmed. They think, "I cannot fix this, it is too big, I am just going to fail anyway." But when you frame the problem as easily solvable, they feel empowered. Compare these two statements. "Your writing is terrible. You have so many fundamental problems. This is going to take a long time to fix." Versus, "You have good ideas here. Your structure just needs a little tightening." Once you work on transitions between paragraphs, this is going to flow beautifully. I think one more revision will get you there. Which statement inspires improvement? The second one, because it says, "You are close. This is fixable. You can do this." And that belief becomes self-fulfilling. Here is your framework for giving correction that inspires. 1. Begin with sincere appreciation. Show you value the person. 2. Point out mistakes indirectly when possible. Let people correct themselves. 3. Share your own failures first. Show humility and create connection. 4. Ask questions instead of giving orders. Invite collaboration. 5. Protect dignity. Never humiliate, especially publicly. 6. Praise every improvement. Recognize progress no matter how small. 7. Make the fault seem easy to correct. Inspire confidence, follow this framework and watch what happens. People will not resent your feedback. They will appreciate it. They will not resist change. They will embrace it. They will not avoid you. They will seek your guidance, because you have mastered the art of correction without creating resentment. In the next chapter, we will explore how to inspire people to reach their highest potential, how to bring out the best in others through encouragement and belief. But for now, practice this. The next time you need to correct someone, use this framework. Begin with appreciation. Be indirect. Be humble. Ask questions. Protect dignity. Praise improvement. Inspire confidence. Watch how differently people respond. Watch how willing they become to change, not because you forced them, but because you inspired them. Chapter 8. How to inspire others to reach their highest potential. Let me tell you about a boy who everyone said was hopeless. He was failing in school, disruptive in class, teachers had written him off. He will never amount to anything, they said. But one teacher saw something different. She saw a boy who was bored, not stupid. A boy who was creative, not lazy. A boy who needed to be believed in, not given up on. So she did something that changed his life. She told him, "You are one of the brightest students I have ever taught. You think differently than others. That is a gift. I cannot wait to see what you accomplish." She did not say this once. She said it regularly. And slowly the boy started to believe it. He started to see himself differently. He started to try. Years later, that boy became a successful inventor. He credited that one teacher with changing his life, not because she taught him facts, but because she gave him a reputation to live up to. Here is a truth that will transform every relationship you have. People generally become what you tell them they are. If you treat someone as incompetent, they will act incompetent. If you treat someone as untrustworthy, they will prove untrustworthy. But if you treat someone as capable, talented, and worthy of respect, they will rise to meet that expectation. This is not magic. This is psychology. We all have a self-image, a picture in our mind of who we are. And that self-image is shaped largely by how others see us, especially people we respect. When someone you admire tells you that you are capable, you start to believe it. And when you believe it, you act accordingly. This principle has incredible power. It means you can literally help create who someone becomes, by the labels you give them, by the potential you see in them, by the reputation you help them build. Let me show you how this works. A manager has an employee who is shy and rarely speaks up in meetings. The manager could think, this person is not leadership material. They are too passive. And if the manager treats them that way, the employee will remain passive. But what if the manager does something different? In a meeting, when the shy employee makes a small comment, the manager says, "That is an excellent point. You have a talent for seeing angles others miss. I would love to hear more of your thoughts on this." After the meeting, the manager says privately, "I have noticed you have great ideas. I think you're ready for more responsibility. How would you feel about leading the next project?" The employee feels shocked, uncertain, but also honored. The manager continues, "I see leadership potential in you. I would not offer this if I did not believe you could do it." What happens? The employee steps up, takes the challenge, grows into the role, not because they suddenly developed new skills, but because someone believed in them, saw potential, gave them a reputation to live up to. Here is what you must understand. Most people underestimate themselves. They focus on their weaknesses. They doubt their abilities. They play small, not because they lack potential, but because no one has shown them their potential. You can be the person who does that. You can be the person who sees greatness in others before they see it in themselves. And when you do, you change lives. Let me give you another example. A father has a daughter who struggles with confidence. She tries out for the school play and does not get the lead role. She's devastated. The father could say, "Well, you did your best. Maybe acting is not your thing." That would reinforce her doubt. But instead, he says, "I watched your audition. You have real talent. The directors made their choice, but I saw something special in your performance. You have a gift for connecting with an audience. This is just the beginning for you." The daughter feels encouraged. She tries out again the next year, and the next. She keeps developing her skills. Eventually, she does get the lead role. And she remembers that her father believed in her when she did not believe in herself. That belief became her foundation. Here is a powerful technique for inspiring potential in others. Give people a fine reputation to live up to. This means act as if the trait you wish them to develop is already one of their outstanding characteristics. Let me explain. You want your employee to be more reliable. Instead of saying, "You need to be more reliable," you say, "One thing I really appreciate about you is your reliability. I know when I give you something, it will get done." Now the employee thinks, "They see me as reliable. I need to make sure I live up to that." You want your child to be more honest. Instead of lecturing about honesty, you say, "I love that I can always trust what you tell me. Your honesty is something I really value about you." The child thinks, "My parent sees me as honest. I want to keep being that person." You want your friend to be more supportive. Instead of complaining that they are not there for you, you say, "You are one of the most supportive people in my life. I am grateful for that." Your friend thinks, "They see me as supportive. I should make sure I am being that person." Do you see the pattern? You are not lying. You are not manipulating. You are seeing the seed of the quality you want to encourage, and you are watering that seed by acknowledging it. People will work incredibly hard to match the reputation you give them, especially if it is a reputation they want to have. Here is why this works so powerfully. We all want to be consistent with how we see ourselves. When you tell someone they are a certain way, it becomes part of their identity. And once something is part of their identity, they will act to protect it. If someone sees themselves as reliable, being unreliable feels wrong. It creates internal discomfort, so they work to stay reliable. If someone sees themselves as creative, They will look for opportunities to be creative. If someone sees themselves as a leader, they will step up to lead. The identity drives the behavior. Let me tell you about a coach who used this principle brilliantly. He took over a losing team. The players had a reputation for being quitters. Other coaches had tried to motivate them through fear, through punishment, through harsh criticism. It never worked. This coach did something different. He told them, "I have watched film of your games. You know what I see? Fighters. Players who do not give up. That is rare. That is the foundation we're going to build on." The players were confused. They knew they had been quitters. But the coach kept reinforcing this new identity. "You are fighters. That is who you are." When a player made a mistake, he said, "That is not like you. You are tougher than that. Show me the fighter I know you are." When a player gave extra effort, he celebrated it. "That is it. That is the fighter I am talking about. That is who you are." Slowly, the players started to believe it. They started to see themselves as fighters instead of quitters, and their behavior changed to match. They won games they should have lost. They came from behind. They never gave up. Why? Because the coach had given them a new identity, a reputation to protect. And they rose to meet it. Here is another powerful way to inspire potential. Make the thing seem easy to achieve. When people think something is impossibly difficult, they do not try. But when they think it is within reach, they push for it. Let me show you the difference. A manager wants an employee to improve their public speaking. Ineffective approach. You really struggle with presentations. Public speaking is hard. It takes years to get good at it. You have a long way to go. This discourages the employee. They think, "Why bother? I will never be good at this." Effective approach. You have natural charisma. You just need to channel it. I have seen people go from nervous to confident in a matter of weeks with practice. You're already halfway there. A few techniques and you will be great. This encourages the employee. They think, "I can do this. It is just a matter of practice." One approach emphasizes difficulty. The other emphasizes possibility. Which one inspires action? Always the second one. When you want to inspire someone, minimize the difficulty, maximize their capability, not by lying, but by focusing on what is already there and what is possible. Here is one more principle that brings out the best in people. Make them feel important, and do it sincerely. Everyone you meet is carrying a hidden sign that says, "Make me feel important." When you honor that need, people blossom. Let me give you an example. A company janitor felt invisible. People walked past him without acknowledgement. Then a new executive started, and he did something different. Every morning he stopped to talk with the janitor. He asked about his family, his interests, his life. He said, "I know your work happens when most people are gone, but I see it. The building looks great. Your attention to detail makes a difference." The janitor felt seen, valued, important, and he started taking even more pride in his work. Not because he was paid more, but because someone recognized his value. This principle applies everywhere. The receptionist who greets people, the assistant who handles details, the team member who does background work. These people are often overlooked. But when you make them feel important, when you genuinely appreciate their contribution, they will go above and beyond, not because you demanded it, but because you valued them. Here is a truth that changes everything. The greatest gift you can give another person is to see their potential and believe in them. Most people go through life feeling unseen, unappreciated, underestimated. You can be different. You can be the person who sees what others miss, who believes when others doubt, who encourages when others criticize. And when you do that, you do not just change someone's day, you change their trajectory. Here is your assignment. Think of 3 people in your life. They could be colleagues, family members, friends, anyone. Now think, what potential do you see in them that maybe they do not see in themselves? Tell them, not vaguely, specifically. I see leadership potential in you because of how you handled that situation. I see creative talent in you. The way you think is unique. I see strength in you. The way you have handled challenges is impressive. Give them a reputation to live up to, and then watch. Watch how they start to embody that reputation. Watch how they grow into the person you saw in them. Because here is the beautiful truth. When you see greatness in others, you help create it. When you believe in people, they start to believe in themselves. When you give people a noble reputation, they will work tirelessly to deserve it. This is not manipulation. This is inspiration. This is seeing people not as they are, but as they can be, and helping them get there. In the next chapter, we will explore how to make people glad to do what you want, how to inspire enthusiastic cooperation instead of reluctant compliance. But for now, practice this. See potential, speak it, believe it, and watch as the people around you transform, not because you changed them, but because you helped them see who they truly are. Chapter 9. The Secret to Making People. Enthusiastically, do what you want. Let me ask you a question that reveals everything about influence. When was the last time you did something reluctantly? Someone asked you to do it. Maybe they even demanded it. You did it. But you dragged your feet. You did the minimum. Your heart was not in it. Now, when was the last time you did something with genuine enthusiasm? Something you were excited about? Something you could not wait to do? What was the difference? The task itself? Maybe. But more likely the difference was how you felt about it. In one case, you felt forced, obligated, controlled. In the other case, you felt inspired, motivated, free. Here is the truth that will transform how you influence people. You can get people to do things in two ways. You can make them do it through pressure, obligation, or fear. Or you can make them want to do it through inspiration and enthusiasm. The first way gets compliance, reluctant. Minimum effort, temporary. The second way gets commitment, eager, maximum effort, lasting. Which one do you think creates better results? Let me tell you about two managers with the same challenge. Both needed their teams to work late to finish an important project. Manager 1 sent an email. "We are behind schedule. Everyone needs to stay late this week until the project is done. This is mandatory." The team groaned. They stayed late. But they resented it. The work was mediocre, and they remembered that resentment. Manager 2 called a team meeting. He said, "I want to share something with you. We have an opportunity. If we deliver this project on time, it positions us for the biggest client we have ever had. That client could mean promotions, bonuses, and growth for all of us. But we are behind schedule. I need your help. I know asking you to work extra hours is a sacrifice. If you can give me this week, I will make sure you get time back, and I will be here working alongside you every night. What do you say?" The team understood. They felt included. They saw the why behind the request. They stayed late. But they did it with energy, with commitment, with pride. The work was excellent, and they remembered that experience positively. Same request, completely different response. Why? Because one manager demanded, the other inspired. One focused on obligation, the other focused on opportunity. One made it about what he needed. The other made it about what they could achieve together. Here is the principle. People resist being controlled, but they love being part of something meaningful. Your job is to show them the meaning, to show them why what you are asking matters, to connect the task to something they care about. Let me give you another example. A mother wanted her children to help more with household chores. She could approach it as obligation. "You live here. You need to contribute. I am not your maid. Start pulling your weight." This creates resentment. Children do chores grudgingly, if at all. Or she could approach it as opportunity. Our family works best when we all contribute. When everyone does their part, we have more time to do fun things together. Plus, learning to take care of a home is an important life skill. You're getting old enough to be really helpful. I am excited to teach you. This creates meaning. Children feel capable, included, important. They are more likely to help, and with better attitudes. Same goal, different framing. One emphasizes burden, the other emphasizes growth and belonging. Here is a powerful technique for creating enthusiasm. Let people feel ownership. When people feel something is theirs, they care about it. When they feel it is imposed on them, they resist it. Let me show you how this works in practice. A principal wanted teachers to implement a new curriculum. The old approach would be to announce it. Starting next month, we're using this new curriculum. Here is the training schedule. Everyone must comply. Teachers would resist, complain, drag their feet. The new approach, the principal formed a committee of teachers. He said, "We have been asked to update our curriculum. I want your input. What do you think our students need most? What is working in our current approach? What could be better?" The teachers discussed, debated, shared ideas. The principal listened, incorporated their feedback, made them part of the decision. When the new curriculum rolled out, the teachers supported it enthusiastically. Why? Because they helped create it. It was theirs. Even though the end result was similar to what the principal would have chosen anyway, the process made all the difference. People support what they help create. Here is another key to enthusiasm. Make the task feel important. Every job, no matter how small, can be framed as meaningful. The difference is not in the task itself. The difference is in how you present it. Let me give you an example. A hospital administrator needed someone to handle patient paperwork, filing, data entry, not glamorous work. The uninspiring pitch. "We need someone to do paperwork. It is boring but necessary. Are you interested?" Not exactly motivating. The inspiring pitch. "We need someone to ensure every patient's information is accurate and accessible. When doctors need to make quick decisions, they rely on this data. Your accuracy could literally save lives. This work is the backbone of patient care. Are you interested?" Same job, completely different meaning. One is just paperwork, the other is life-saving support. Which pitch do you think gets better candidates? Better work, more dedication, always the second, because people want to feel their work matters. Give them that feeling, and they will give you their best. Here is another powerful technique. Throw down a challenge. People love to prove themselves, to test their abilities, to show what they can do. When you frame a task as a challenge rather than an order, everything changes. Let me show you. A sales manager needs her team to increase their numbers. The command approach. Sales are down. Everyone needs to hit higher targets this quarter, no excuses. This feels like pressure, like blame, like a threat. The challenge approach. I have been looking at our numbers and I think this team is capable of something remarkable. I think we could hit record numbers this quarter. I know it would push us, but I also know the talent in this room. Who is ready to see what we are really capable of? This feels exciting. Like an opportunity, like belief. Which approach inspires better performance? The challenge does. Every time. Because challenges engage our desire to prove ourselves. Orders just trigger our resistance to being controlled. Now, here is something critical to understand. Enthusiasm cannot be faked. If you try to manipulate people with false excitement or insincere motivation, they will see through it. Real enthusiasm comes from genuinely believing in what you're asking people to do, from caring about their success, not just your own goals, from connecting the work to something meaningful. Let me tell you about a teacher who mastered this. She taught math to students who hated math. She could have just drilled formulas and forced compliance. Instead, she did something different. She showed them how math connected to things they cared about. For the student interested in music, she showed how math creates rhythm and harmony. For the student interested in sports, she showed how statistics reveal strategy. For the student interested in art, she showed how geometry creates beauty. She made math about their interests, not just abstract numbers. And suddenly, students who hated math became curious about it. Not because the math changed, but because she connected it to what they cared about. Here is another important principle. Celebrate effort, not just results. When you only recognize success, people feel pressure. But when you recognize effort, people feel encouraged, and encouragement creates sustained enthusiasm. Let me give you an example. A coach had a player who was struggling, working hard but not seeing results yet. The coach could have ignored the effort and only focused on performance, but instead, he pulled the player aside after practice. He said, "I see how hard you're working, the extra hours, the focus, the determination. Results will come, but I want you to know that your effort is already impressive. That is the foundation of everything. Keep going." The player felt seen, valued, encouraged. He kept working, and eventually the results came, because the coach had sustained his enthusiasm through the difficult period. Here is a powerful truth. Enthusiasm is contagious. If you are genuinely excited about something, others will catch that energy. If you are indifferent or negative, others will mirror that too. Your energy sets the tone. Let me show you what this looks like. A project leader needs to motivate a team through a difficult initiative. If she approaches it with dread, this is going to be tough. It is going to be a long few months, but we have to get through it. The team will feel dread too. But if she approaches it with enthusiasm, I am genuinely excited about this project. Yes, it will be challenging, but that is what makes it interesting. We're going to learn so much. We're going to create something we can be proud of. I cannot wait to see what we accomplish together. The team catches that enthusiasm. They feel excited instead of dreaded. Same project, different energy, and energy determines outcome. Here is your framework for creating enthusiasm. 1. Show the why. Connect the task to something meaningful. 2. Give ownership. Let people be part of the solution. 3. Make it important. Show how the work matters. 4. Throw down a challenge. Engage their desire to prove themselves. 5. Be genuine. Your enthusiasm must be real. 6. Connect to their interests. Make it about what they care about. 7. Celebrate effort. Recognize the work, not just the results. 8. Bring energy. Your enthusiasm is contagious. When you follow this framework, something remarkable happens. People stop seeing tasks as obligations. They start seeing them as opportunities. They stop dragging their feet. They start stepping up eagerly. They stop doing the minimum. They start giving their best. Not because you forced them, but because you inspired them. Here is your assignment. Think about something you need someone to do. Maybe it is at work, maybe it is at home. Maybe it is with a friend or colleague. Now stop thinking about what you need. Start thinking about how to make them enthusiastic about it. What is the meaning? What is the opportunity? What is the challenge? How can you connect it to what they care about? How can you give them ownership? How can you make them excited instead of obligated? Then approach them with that framing. Watch how differently they respond. Watch how their energy changes. Watch how their commitment deepens. Because here is the ultimate truth about influence. Compliance is temporary. Enthusiasm is lasting. Orders create resistance. Inspiration creates commitment. Control gets you minimum effort. Enthusiasm gets you maximum effort. So stop trying to control people. Start trying to inspire them. Show them why it matters. Give them ownership. Challenge them. Connect to their passions. Bring genuine enthusiasm. And watch as people become eager partners instead of reluctant participants. In the final chapter, we will bring everything together. We will explore how these principles create a life of genuine connection, deep influence, and meaningful impact. But for now, practice this. The next time you need someone to do something, do not demand it. Inspire it. Make them glad to do it. Make them enthusiastic about it, and watch how everything changes. Chapter 10. The transformation that changes everything. Let me tell you about a man who changed his life in 6 months. Not by changing his circumstances, not by changing his job, not by moving to a new city. He changed his life by changing how he treated people. 6 months earlier, he was frustrated, stuck, surrounded by people who did not respect him. His team at work did not follow his leadership. His friends felt distant. His family relationships were strained. He blamed everyone else. People do not listen, they do not care, they are difficult. But then he read something that changed everything. A simple idea. Maybe the problem was not them. Maybe the problem was him. Not because he was a bad person, but because he did not understand how human relationships actually work. So he decided to try something radical. For 6 months, he would apply every principle we have discussed in this audiobook. He would stop criticizing and start appreciating. He would stop talking about what he wanted and start asking what others wanted. He would stop arguing and start listening. He would admit when he was wrong. He would handle criticism with grace. He would correct others with care. He would see potential in people and tell them. He would inspire enthusiasm instead of demanding compliance. For 6 months, he committed to this transformation. And here is what happened. Within weeks, his team at work started performing better. They sought his input. They respected his leadership. His friendships deepened. People opened up to him. They valued his presence. His family relationships healed. Conversations became easier. Connection became natural. But here is the most remarkable part. He realized that the external changes were just reflections of an internal transformation. He had become a different person, not in some fake surface-level way, but in a deep, fundamental way. He had learned to see people differently. Instead of seeing obstacles, he saw human beings with needs and desires. Instead of seeing opponents, he saw potential allies. Instead of seeing problems to fix, he saw people to understand. This shift in perspective changed everything. Because here is the truth that ties all these principles together. Influence is not about techniques. It is about transformation. It is not about what you do. It is about who you become. Let me explain. You can learn all the techniques in the world. You can memorize every principle, practice every strategy. But if you do not genuinely care about people, none of it works. People sense insincerity, they feel manipulation, and they resist it. But when you genuinely transform, when you truly start seeing people as valuable, everything becomes natural. You do not have to remember to appreciate people. You naturally notice what is good. You do not have to force yourself to listen. You genuinely want to understand. You do not have to pretend to care about their interests. You actually care. This is the difference between manipulation and influence. Manipulation uses techniques to get what you want while pretending to care about others. Influence genuinely cares about others and naturally creates mutual benefit. One is exhausting and ultimately ineffective. The other is natural and profoundly powerful. Let me show you what this transformation looks like in practice. Before transformation, you walk into a meeting thinking, how can I get these people to agree with my plan? After transformation, you walk in thinking, how can I understand their concerns and create a solution that works for everyone? Before transformation, you see an employee making mistakes and think, this person is incompetent. After transformation, you think, this person is struggling. What support do they need? What potential am I not seeing? Before transformation, someone criticizes you and you think, they are wrong. I need to defend myself. After transformation, you think, what can I learn from this? Is there truth in their perspective? Before transformation, you need someone to do something, and you think, how can I make them do this? After transformation, you think, how can I help them see why this matters and make them glad to participate? Do you see the difference? It is not just technique, it is perspective. It is a fundamental shift in how you see people and relationships, and once that shift happens, influence becomes effortless, because you are not trying to manipulate people into liking you. You are genuinely interested in them. You're not trying to trick people into doing what you want. You're helping them get what they want. You're not trying to win arguments. You're seeking truth and mutual understanding. This transformation has a ripple effect. When you change how you treat people, they change how they treat others. Let me tell you a story that illustrates this. A teacher applied these principles with her students. She stopped criticizing and started appreciating. She saw potential in every child. She inspired rather than demanded. Her students blossomed. But something else happened too. Those students started treating each other differently. They became more encouraging, more supportive, more understanding, because they were learning not just from her words, but from her example. One of those students went home and started treating his younger sister with more patience. His parents noticed. They asked what changed. He said, "My teacher taught me that everyone has good in them. You just have to look for it." That simple lesson, modeled by one teacher, rippled through families, through friendships, through communities. This is the power of transformation. You change yourself, then you change everyone around you, not by preaching, not by demanding, but by example, by becoming the kind of person others want to be around, by creating the kind of relationships others aspire to have, by demonstrating what genuine human connection looks like. Here is what this transformation requires. First, it requires self-awareness. You must be willing to look honestly at yourself, to see your flaws, your blind spots, your contribution to problems. This is uncomfortable, but it is essential, because you cannot change what you do not acknowledge. Second, it requires humility. You must be willing to admit you do not have all the answers, that other people's perspectives matter, that you can learn from everyone. Pride is the enemy of influence. Humility is its foundation. Third, it requires genuine interest in others, not fake interest, not strategic interest. Real curiosity about who people are, what they want, what they struggle with. When you're genuinely interested in people, they feel it, and they respond with openness and trust. Fourth, it requires consistency. You cannot apply these principles only when it is convenient. You must make them your way of being, in good times and difficult times, with people you like and people you do not. Consistency builds trust, and trust is the foundation of all influence. Fifth, it requires patience. Transformation does not happen overnight. Relationships that have been damaged take time to heal. Trust that has been broken takes time to rebuild. But if you stay consistent, if you keep applying these principles, change will come. Let me share something important. You will fail at this regularly. You will forget to appreciate, you will criticize, you will get defensive, you will argue. This is normal, this is human. The difference is not perfection. The difference is direction. Are you moving toward becoming a person of genuine influence? Are you learning from your mistakes? Are you trying again when you fail? That is what matters. Progress, not perfection. Here is what happens when you commit to this transformation. Your relationships deepen. People trust you. They confide in you. They seek your advice. Your influence expands. Not because you demand authority, but because people naturally follow you. Your impact grows. The people you influence go on to influence others. Your life becomes richer, because connection is what makes life meaningful. But here is the most important change. You become a better person, not better than others, but better than you were. More patient, more understanding, more generous, more humble. And that internal transformation is more valuable than any external success, because success without character is empty, but character creates success that is meaningful. Let me leave you with a final story. There was a businessman who built an empire. He was wealthy, powerful, influential, but he was also lonely. His employees feared him. His family felt distant. He had no real friends. Late in life, he realized something. He had spent his whole life trying to get people to do what he wanted, but he had never learned to genuinely value people for who they were. He decided to change. He started applying these principles, appreciating people, listening genuinely, admitting mistakes, seeing potential. His business relationships transformed. His family relationships healed. He made genuine friends for the first time in decades. He said something profound. I spent 50 years trying to make people serve my success. Now I spend my time helping people achieve theirs, and I am happier than I have ever been. This is the ultimate lesson. Influence is not about getting what you want. It is about creating value for others. It is not about being served. It is about serving. It is not about winning. It is about connection. When you understand this, everything changes. You stop seeing people as means to your ends. You start seeing them as ends in themselves, as valuable, as worthy of respect and care. And paradoxically, when you stop trying to use people, they naturally want to help you. When you stop demanding influence, you naturally gain it. When you stop chasing success, it finds you. Because the greatest success is not what you achieve. It is who you become, and the person who genuinely values others, who lifts them up, who sees their potential and helps them reach it, who creates enthusiasm and inspires greatness. That person has true influence, not influence that comes from position or power, but influence that comes from character, influence that lasts, influence that matters, influence that transforms lives. Here is my challenge to you. Take these principles, not as techniques to memorize, but as a way of being to embody. Start today. Start with one person, one interaction, one opportunity to apply what you have learned. Appreciate someone sincerely. Listen to understand, not to respond. Admit a mistake. See potential in someone and tell them. Make someone feel important. Inspire enthusiasm. Do this consistently, every day, with everyone. and watch your life transform, watch your relationships deepen, watch your influence grow, watch your impact expand. Not because you manipulated anyone, but because you became a person worth following, a person worth trusting, a person worth knowing. This is not magic. This is not theory. This is how human relationships actually work. This is how influence is truly built. This is how you change not just your life, but the lives of everyone you touch. The principles are simple, but they are not easy. They require you to set aside your ego, to genuinely care about others, to be humble, patient, and consistent. But if you do this, if you truly commit to this transformation, I promise you this, your life will never be the same. You will look back in 6 months, a year, 5 years, and be amazed at the change. Not just in your circumstances, but in who you have become, and that transformation, that becoming, is the greatest achievement possible. So go, apply these principles, live this transformation, and watch as you become a person of true, lasting, meaningful influence. The journey begins now. You have reached the end of this audiobook. But this is not really an ending. This is a beginning. Everything you have learned here, every principle, every insight, every story, means nothing unless you apply it. Knowledge without action is just entertainment, but knowledge with action is transformation. So here is what I want you to do. Right now, before you move on to your next task, make a decision. Choose one principle from this audiobook, just one. Maybe it is appreciating others sincerely. Maybe it is admitting when you are wrong. Maybe it is seeing potential in people and telling them. Maybe it is listening to understand instead of waiting to speak. Choose one principle and commit to practicing it for the next 7 days. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, just consistently. Every day, look for opportunities to apply that principle with your colleagues, your family, your friends, even strangers, and watch what happens. Watch how people respond differently. Watch how relationships shift. Watch how your influence grows naturally. Then, after 7 days, add another principle and another. Build these habits one at a time until they become who you are. Because here is the truth. The principles in this audiobook have changed millions of lives. They have transformed careers, healed relationships, created leaders. Not because they are complicated, but because they are true. They work with human nature instead of against it. And when you align with human nature, everything becomes easier. Influence becomes natural. Connection becomes effortless. Impact becomes inevitable, but only if you act. So do not let this be just another audiobook you listened to and forgot. Let this be the moment your life changed direction. The moment you decided to become a person of genuine influence. A person who lifts others up instead of tearing them down. A person who sees potential instead of flaws. A person who creates enthusiasm instead of demanding compliance. A person who truly understands and values other human beings. That person, that version of you, is waiting. All you have to do is take the first step. Start today. Start now. Apply one principle and watch your life transform. If this audiobook has provided value to you, please consider subscribing to this channel. We create content designed to help you grow, to help you become the person you are capable of being. Leave a comment below and tell us which principle resonated most with you. Share this audiobook with someone who needs to hear it. Because influence grows when shared. Thank you for listening. Now go, apply what you have learned, and create the life and the relationships you truly want. The power is in your hands. Use it wisely.